my water. Also, I put on the recording.
Yes. And while the guests are speaking, we will turn off everybody's microphone so they can speak freely and not hear somebody's baby going, ah! Or somebody's wife going, ah! Same
Hopefully
sound.
my baby and wife are not going like that while I'm speaking here.
Yeah, that was the standard baby and standard wife sound. I looked it up. That's what ChatGPT told me. I don't really know. I have no confirmation on that. I have very different kind of baby and wife also. So today we have Aleksi Postari talking about cloud. Is it cloud code or just cloud AI or something?
Yeah, I'm mainly talking about probably cloud code, but developing with cloud codes, and basically I think I'm just gonna go through like how I've been using AI and then going to the cloud code and how I these days develop with cloud code.
Yeah. And we have Salli Juho talking about personal development environment, how to do things your way and stop doing things the fool's way or something like that. Was it my correct or in the ballpark even, maybe?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So let's give the stage to Aleksi for tell us a little bit about yourself and then go for it. And I'll keep myself quiet also. You have what you have about 30 minutes. So
yeah, I don't know how much I have, but I'm gonna probably take 20,
it's
30.
gonna take what it takes.
Yeah, it's gonna take what it takes. But
Yeah.
I'm not gonna take 2 hours because I need to go to sleep also. But
Yeah. And in the middle of our guest, let's take a little break so everyone can go pee and fill up the coffee cup, not with pee, preferably with coffee or tea. Leave the pee for the toilet. Yes, Aleksi, go. Thank you for coming.
thank you. So yeah, I'm Aleksi Postari. I have been doing coding for quite a long time. So basically, I was 9, and I started then doing some basically websites, learning about websites and Unix and stuff like that from my father. So development I've been doing for 25 years, about that, and professionally for about 15 years. And I have a couple startups, and I've been doing. There was in the introduction. I was doing this educational version of Minecraft back in the days for my first startup. Then we sold that startup, and then I was doing big learning analytics platform. And after that, I joined SAMK 2019. And now I've been mainly teaching in the AI field and doing some projects here and there, and also I'm doing some projects, basically coding, design, whatever, through my company. So I'm also doing that stuff at the same time. And today I'm gonna be talking about cloud. So I'm gonna be quickly first talking about, so basically how I went to the cloud code and that stuff. So when ChatGPT came, when did ChatGPT came? It was 21, was it? December? Anyone? Anyone remember? Or 22? 21? Yeah, 21 December, I think. So I started using it at that time. And basically it was copy pasting code. So I was taking, so basically code and copy pasting it to ChatGPT and then getting something back, like some function and stuff like that. And that was it. And then from there I started using Cursor. I don't know how many here have used Cursor, but it's basically Visual Studio Code, but it has that AI agent and stuff like that built into it. So you can, it's pretty nice. It's integrated to the actual coding environment, and then I can just, I can select some code from here and then say to create this function to me, or find if there's any problems in this code, or fill some code for me. But I'm gonna share my screen now. Let's see if I can. This one. Is the screen visible?
Yep, it works.
Yes, thank you. So Cloud Code is what I mainly use then these days. So going from that copy pasting my code from different files to ChatGPT or something like that, to having cursor, and then I actually use cursor also. So here's in the background, this is cursor. So basically, it looks like Visual Studio Code if you have Visual Studio Code, but it has the AI agent stuff here. So I use cursor for some very small tasks here and there. And so basically, I can just get something here, add to chat, do quick edits and stuff like that, ask about this, things like that. But I use Cloud Code these days for a lot of development tasks. And Cloud Code, you can use it from, you can actually install the version. You can install the actual, and I archive a couple of my projects here. You can install it, and then you can hook it directly to your version management. So you can basically select a folder here, and then you can give it some tasks, and it can do you some tasks like pretty well, at least in the web field. So the projects I'm mainly doing is web development. The problems that I have realized, or the problems that have been coming up, the things that I've heard about the problems with it is that like it works pretty well for web development, for example, and it works pretty well for languages that there's a lot of learning data already there. But for example, game development with Unity, or when you go to do something like very C programming and you have the actual like microchips and stuff like that, then it starts to have problems because there is not enough training data there. And also, for example, the Unity, the game development engine, that is very much integrated. It's like it has an editor, and you have to do things in the editor, so it can be pretty little harder to do like have the AI do things for you. But yeah, I use Cloud Code pretty much for example, outsourcing projects I do these days, and some of the projects I do in the SAMK. And so basically, yeah, I don't use this much this desktop version, which hooks up to the version control system, and this will create me basically I can write here some things to do, and it would create me different branches, and then I can verify the code in the branch and then merge back to the main once I am done with it. But I use the terminal quite a lot, so I open these cloud terminal instances like this from the terminal. So I'm now in the project. This project that you see here is the AI server that we use in the SAMK. And then I can basically, I usually start with the plan mode. So I can switch between this normal mode where the agent can just basically implement me the changes itself. And I usually start with this plan mode. So I go to the plan mode, and then I first start making sure that the AI, I'm gonna tell it what, like if there's a bug that needs to be fixed, or if there's a new feature that needs to be implemented. So I'm gonna give it some things to do, and it will first give me some kind of like plan what it's gonna do, what functions it's gonna implement, what is it gonna do. And once that plan is ready, and I usually also go through like it might be some few revisions before I even start like making the agent even do anything. So I say to it that okay, this step 3 is not necessary, or okay, let's refine these text a little bit, or things like that. And then only after that, I switch to the normal mode, and I give it the ability to just do all the tasks and changes itself. It will do the changes, and then I'll review the changes, and basically I'll test the code. I'll make sure that if there's like unit tests, I'll make sure that the unit tests run correctly. and then I verify the changes. And then the boring part, basically, this is what I don't like with this kind of like agent coding these days, is that it's mainly now reading code, if you will. So it's just a lot of this stuff is that this agent will basically build you something. It will create you the code and everything. You have to read a lot. Like you have to read all those changes that it did, and then you review and like accept them and stuff like that. So it's mainly like this. You are just reviewing code. You are not creating code that much anymore. But yeah, and I do this. I have these agents. So a lot of times I have like maybe 2 to 4 different agents running here, and they are basically just making plans. So okay, I need to implement this new, I don't know, this new page somewhere, and then it's gonna basically just do some planning. And then I have a second agent which is doing secret task, just figuring out, okay, I need to implement this plan or fix this certain bug. And once the plans are at a certain phase, I usually start making the changes. So the agent starts making the changes, and then once it's ready, I start reviewing and stuff like that, and I start closing the old chats. But yeah, this is how a lot of the code that I do these days is this way. So it's basically like I'm using this cloud code these days. It works really well, and with this I can basically implement features, fix bugs, do stuff like this. But I do this nowadays. You can like use this a lot, and I use this a lot. But now and then I also go back to the normal way of coding, like the manual way of coding, because the problem with this approach that I found is that only relying on this kind of tool that makes everything for you is that you will no longer be the developer. This is what I've realized. Like when you are just implementing features, fixing bugs through this, and reviewing code, I feel like I'm more like a project manager or a product manager, a product manager who basically just oversees the product and tests out new UI and UX fixes and stuff like that. So I feel like I'm not a developer anymore, and I'm feeling like if I only let this stuff to do its magic, then I'm starting to forget that how to actually develop and how you code. So I'm now and then I'm also going back to the manual way. I'm implementing this and that features now and then also myself. I'm not relying only on this cloud code. And some things, if you get started with this kind of agentic way, or sometimes we say vibe coding, there are some things to take into account. So, for example, first thing when you start doing anything, like you start using this for creating anything bigger. Like if you create just a script, then it's okay. You just easily can create like a very small script with this. But if you start to create a bigger project with something like this cloud code and make this agent do a lot of work for you, you have to know some things. For example, the first thing you have to do is you have to create this cloud.md file that I have here. So this file you should create where you document a lot of things like the overview of your project, what you will have, the architecture, some like different. I have here like database operations, code architecture patterns, where the different files are at, configuration management, a lot of these things, testing and quality, what the agent should run, things like that. A lot of these things that the agent should know and keep in mind when it's doing its things. So everything in this file, in this cloud.md file here, is taken into the model's context. So when it starts doing anything, when I say here, like implement this feature or that feature, then it's gonna take everything from this file and then use it as its context. And also here in this project, this cloud.md is pretty small, but I have in the second project, I can't show that project. because that's a confidential project. But in the second project, I have a lot of these like general rules, code style, and conventions. Things like always use Web3 composition API, always use these kind of components, always use this icon pack, and it has all of these like big rules that the agent should follow, because it's gonna always do these problems. It's gonna start implementing its own components because it doesn't it doesn't know that you have already you are using some component library, and it's gonna be starting to create its own components or doing some weird stuff like that. And this cloud.md file, you basically this one you also should be updating all the time. So when you start to have some problems that you realize that when you are doing code reviews for the code that this agent builds for you, you have to start going and basically reviewing and adding here things like never do this, never do that, never do that thing. So you need to basically always constantly update this cloud file. And it's also, if you, I don't know the plans, but I'm paying like a 100 a month for this cloud code, because there's also, when you start using this a lot, for example, I use this for 2 or 3 projects, and then I might do a lot. So I might have this to me like 40 different features, something like that, in when it's like very busy day, like very, very, very busy day. So this, it costs a lot of money, and there's a lot of there's a lot of traffic with this cloud code calling between me and the cloud code. So yeah, you have to pay some money to actually use this. And yeah, I think the subscription does the subscription have a token limit? Yeah, there are limits. So basically, the basic, I don't know if there's a free plan. The pro version is currently like $25 or something like that. And with the pro version, I think you could do something like, if you are just 24/7 using the agents to do stuff for you, you can probably use it for several hours, like hour or something like that. And then it has currently like this 4-hour limit, and it goes down, and then you have to wait next 3 hours doing nothing or just manual coding. And then like it's like 4-hour limit, I think, and then 24-hour limit, I don't know, or week limit or something like that. But at least there was like that 4-hour limit, which I was always hitting. So that's why I upgraded to the $100 a month. Yeah. To say the same, like it's 20 hours a month. 20 hours a month isn't really usable even for hobby projects. Yeah, or like trying out. So you have to basically pay that $100 a month to really like get the benefits. With the $100 a month, I'm not really hitting limits anymore. And yeah, keep the questions going. Thank you. It's really good. Have I encountered any bugs made by Cloud Code which you can't find or resolve? Did other models help, or how you solved it? Oh yeah, that's a really good question. Have I encountered any bugs by Cloud Code which I can't find or resolve? I have resolved yeah, all the bugs I have resolved basically, and sometimes I have to resolve it myself. So you still have to know what to do, because you might start encountering a bug or like some kind of problem, and you start asking, can you fix this, can you fix this, can you fix this, and the model just can't fix it for you at all. So in those cases, I just manually start doing it myself, fixing that, or sometimes I use a different model. I also have ChatGPT. So I sometimes go to the ChatGPT, like just copy paste to the ChatGPT and see if it can find the problem with that. So yeah, but I sometimes, yeah, I do hit that problem with the cloud code. So I get some problem, and I I can't resolve it. I try to give it even more information, give it a little more and more, but it just can't fix that. Most of the time it can fix it. And you just need to be persistent, maybe give it a little bit more information or like make more clues, and then it can get it fixed. Yeah, and so also maybe some things also to note here is that I have also realized that if you this is why also sometimes I again go back to the manual way of coding. So the first reason I go back, so not only use this Cloud Code to do everything for me, is that I still want to like have that, how would I say it? I still want to be the developer, and I still want to be in control of the whole thing. And I start to forget the syntax and all the stuff, which is I should remember it and how the things work. So I should refresh my memory now and then. And second thing I have realized is that if I just give like the more power I give to the agent here, the more like the less I start to remember myself what was the big picture, the whole project. Because before I was doing any kind of agent coding, I was doing that quite a lot. The project I was doing, I remembered basically every place, like every file, every function. Okay, this function is in this file, so I could just go and open the file or open the just quick open this file, and I know the basically in some places I even start to remember the line numbers, stuff like that. So I was in full control of the project. I knew everything, and when there was new bug that came, I almost instantly knew that okay, it's in here, maybe in that function somewhere there. But when you start giving more and more power from yourself to this, and you're outsourcing your own brain, you start to realize that you are no longer in that control of the whole project. So it's basically you're starting to like outsource your brain to this thing here. So also that's the second thing why I just go back and I refresh myself. I create something myself like manually, because it's just a thing that I need to refresh my I need to be in control of the whole thing. And sometimes I go back to the manual way of coding because I like it. It's like this is the thing I like. I like seeing rapid changes. I like seeing like these features coming up and new features, and I like that I can quickly develop some stuff here, get the stuff done, and that feels like I'm like a product manager. But in a way, it's also I like doing coding. So I don't like reading code all the time. So that's reviewing the code. That's not like it's just this creates me code, and I need to all the time just read the code, and reading the code, and it's a little boring. And then going back to the actual coding, that's what I like. I don't know what others think, but I like coding, and I like solving problems, and I like going back to that, just back to the basics and doing that. So that's what I really like to do. Questions, is context a problem for you? Yeah, so context rock, so internal token limit for model memory reach, so it starts to loop and get stuck on ideas and hallucinate more. Yeah, it happens now and then. And I do, that one I do basically get away from that is basically I just start a new conversation, and a lot of times I just clear the conversations. Or with cloud, you can also compact the conversation, so you can do like this compact. It automatically compacts the conversation for you, but this way it just removes all the garbage from there and then makes the conversation more compact. But yeah, I sometimes I also start from like a scratch and like clear the whole conversation. Maybe sometimes I export some like the most important things to a markdown file, and then I say to okay, scan stuff from that markdown file, That's what I'm so doing that a lot. So sometimes I have some features that I don't want to implement now. So I say to save it to a markdown file, and then I basically have that markdown file in the repository, and then I can later, maybe next week, I can say that, okay, read that markdown file and check the notes from there and implement that feature based on that. Have I tried run Cloud Code with local models? I have not. Yes, I haven't used it with local models. That one I haven't had a reason to do that yet. I'm working with projects that I basically are in a way like confidential, but they are not. It's not. It's not like military grade stuff at this point. So I'm not working with. I can basically freely put the stuff that I'm working on at the moment. So I can give it and put it to the, for example, the cloud models and Anthropic servers in Europe. So that's okay for me. But of course, if I would have the reason, if I'll be working with something very confidential, then I would want to try local models. I don't know how would they perform. Probably not that well, but yeah, I haven't used that. Have I used Cloud Code in any large code bases? Yes, I am using it currently. I'm using it in one project, which is pretty huge. So it has, so it's a, so it's a system. There are, I don't know how much, but it's pretty like large system. There are like 7 levels of analytics in that system, and there are like different dashboards. There are different tests, maybe like 70 tests or something that students can make, and like it's a very big like very large platform, and for that it works like really well. And the reason it works pretty well is that, for example, the cloud.md and the project structure has been made so that it can easily. I've already written here like where to scan the files from. So for example, it's when it needs to do some front end changes, from back end changes, it already knows where it needs to look for things and make the context from. But yeah, for that system. For example, that system is a large one. For example, for that system, I've been creating the version 2 of that system, and the current version that I've been creating is like 90% created with Cloud Code. So it's like building it from a scratch right now, the whole version 2 of the system. So that's front end and back end. The back end is the same, but the front end will be the new. The front end now will be rewritten with Web3, for example, for that project. And then, of course, I need to do change to the back end at the same time. And then all the like unit tests and stuff like that is automatically created by Cloud. Does Cloud tend to use the Nevest frameworks or libraries which you might not know, or do you restrict it to use only those weird few over to control it? See, latest frameworks libraries you might not know. Ekaterina, I think the question is more like, do I so okay, so when I'm selecting these frameworks or libraries, I think that's also what I need to do manually before you start the project. I feel like I should not give. I should so for example, when selecting this, here you can see this architecture, for this project, for example, here Web2, and this kind of little it's this architecture is a little older for this project. But when I'm starting a new project or something like that, I always do this research myself. So what is the technologies I should use? What fits the like what can be used for this? I don't take the latest stuff just because there's a hype going on, but I take it because I because of reasons. So there's frameworks for a lot of different things, and we have we have some problem, and the frameworks also solves a certain problem. So based on that, I'm selecting the frameworks or libraries. So I'm not just picking anything that this basically model gives to me, but I do the research myself because before I select anything. But of course, I use also like Cloud and ChatGPT and things like that to just verify that, or are there frameworks or libraries something I should be using these days and stuff like that. But yeah, when creating the architecture, that's where I do it manually. Also, basically, because I think that's a very selecting the architecture for a project is very something I should do it myself and not outsource that step to something else. Yeah, local models, you don't need to then pay and use the Anthropic API. There's a comment there. Mikko said, tool seems really interesting, but I wouldn't want to pay 100 euros a month. Well, the thing is that I have, for example, I'm doing the outsourced project to my company. So when I'm billing the hours I do work, I can basically get that 100 euros in that sense back pretty quickly. So in that sense, it's pretty cheap, but it depends. So if you are using it as a hobby project, stuff like that, and then it can be, of course, a little expensive if you have to pay the whole thing yourself and you're not getting that money back from somewhere. Do you have any safety protocols for working on confidential internal code with AI that you can tell us? I'm letting the third party read the code when using AI. Well, they basically the systems, they say that, you know, they're not using that in a way to train the models and stuff like that. So in a way, I try to trust them. But of course, I mentioned that I don't have anything, or at least I should not have anything that interesting or something military grade or stuff like that. That's really that I need to be that I need to be, how would I say this? No, I don't have anything that important in there. Like, for example, most of the when I'm going to the production environment, for example, I have the passwords and stuff like that, and that's separate thing. So I have my development environment, and there's like test data only, and then in my development environment, the cloud code can do stuff, ChatGPT can do stuff. It's only like running locally on my own computer. But of course, when going to the production environments, then I also, in that sense, I need to be, I want to be a little bit more careful. So, for example, in the production environment, where there's like this user data and stuff like that, then I'm doing things a little bit more like manually, actually. So I'm not using these models in the production environments really, and I'm not getting them there in the wild in the production environments. Anything else to discuss about with this? I think also there's this interesting discussion about the, I don't know what others think about this, but I think it would be also nice to hear from maybe Juho. So this that junior developers, like maybe senior developers will be in like really high need. Junior developers are not that big in need. So what I'm seeing it is that, yeah, this, like, if we think about this junior and senior developer, what they are, so that junior developer back in the past was just creating these functions, basically implementing functions, and senior developers could do projects themselves. So they are, for example, also Facebook, Meta, they have different levels of, like, junior level 3, some senior level 6. So junior people basically just implementing what they are told to be implemented. And once they just do that a lot, they can go up their levels, and then they become seniors in a way. Senior developers can just pick on any like project and like on their own just implement new features, fix bugs, and implement the whole thing themselves. So I'm thinking also about this, so that we're getting rid of that junior thinking, because these agents can do a lot of that junior work in a way. But then you still need to really know how to code, how to read the code, understand what it's doing, understand, like basically you have to start from that junior level. Of course, you have to implement these projects, you have to understand how they are implemented, and not just let this thing build everything for you. So in order to get that senior level, so yeah, but everyone is getting to that senior level, but you have to still grow to that level. And I think that's, we still need, in a way, you have to gradually still go to that senior level. Yeah, there's a hand up.
Yeah, I just had a comment or a question to that. Isn't it a bit difficult to, let's say, at least in a global level, if the companies don't agree that they should essentially invest in junior developers? I mean, that just essentially creates trouble when, from their perspective right now, they want someone who can do whole system design and not just some parts of it. From their perspective, the agents can't do that, and now you have essentially, you have to go through the process of being a junior developer to become a senior developer. But if you don't have the job opportunities to develop your skills, let's say 5 years at least, I mean, that's essentially going to be a very difficult skill to develop if you don't gather the opportunities.
Yeah, I think it's, I hear you. I think the same thing. I don't know. It's a little hard to say anything about to that. You know, in the companies I do some outsourcing work, they also, in a way, they expect someone to come into the company now these days and then use AI, and it's like everywhere just like this AI. And like the companies, in couple companies I'm working with, the CEOs are like, use AI. Have you used AI? Do you use AI? Do you use enough AI now and stuff like that? So yeah, it's getting, I think, also a little bit silly in a way, even, so to speak. But yeah, it's tough, and yeah, it's tough. I don't know what to say to that much. But at school, at least, I would say you have to, you know, you have to, I don't know, senior, and the term senior is also a little weird in a way, because it's, it can be two things. Senior can be that you've been doing this for 10 years, or it can be the skills, like if you've been doing 10 years only scripts and nothing else, like no software development, anything like that, then maybe going to a different project can be, you're not senior in a way, even at all, because you have only done that one repetitive tasks for 10 years. But yeah, so what is senior and what is junior and stuff like that? So it's tough. I don't have that much to say to the situation.
Thank you for the answer.
But yeah, I don't want to take too much of the time from today. I think that's from me, enough from me, and then I think Juho could probably go from here.
Yeah, thank you, Aleksi. Postari, that was very interesting. Okay, if somebody is still with some questions, maybe we can gather them somewhere and send them to Postari so he can put them straight to Shredder and use it.
I will put them to Juho.
Yes. If you have questions to Aleksi, send them to juho.o.salli. Yeah. So how about we take a little break now, so you can go to PP and fill the coffee cup with coffee. My time shows now it's 10 to 7, so let's get back at 7. Go fill your cups and we continue at 7 if everyone's okay and good with that. Is it okay, Juho, for you? Continue at 7.
I'm ready, like almost straight away. So if we take a 5-er.
Yeah, okay, let's take a 5-er. So 18:55. Let's get back.
5-er is also the app or the platform.
Yeah, I'll pay you $100 to code me code of Call of Duty 7. Cool. Here's $100. So back in 5, and then you will tell us how to put your desktop where it should be. Or something like that. We will hear and we will see. Back in 5.
Don't be scared. I'm gonna do a quick test. Yeah.
Little. Oh, that was horrible.
Oh no! Oh, what happened?
Oh, where did he go? Oh, he's there. Welcome back, everyone, and welcome if someone new has dropped in. This is DevCafe meetup. It's low-key, chill tech talk. No advertising or other that type of things. We are not trying to sell anything. Maybe cool ideas and cool things. And I think we didn't say, or I didn't say at the start, that if you feel strongly about some tech and you want to share with us, you want to come to talk and have a presentation like Aleksi had just now, and Juho will have soon, and get in contact with us, and we'll squeeze in some of these DevCafe meetings a slot for you, so you can tell us about something cool. I don't know why I keep looking that way. I could look here where you are instead of my face. It's like a light for a moth to look at my own face. A little bit narcissistic maybe, but cool to have you here and very cool that we got so many great questions to Aleksi Postari about cloud coding and AI usage in general. And now we're about to hear Salli Juho talk very cool things. And first, Salli, tell a little bit about yourself and then start with the coolness. Everybody get ready and get your coffee. And let's keep the mics closed until the ending, so the speaker can speak freely, so to speak. Stage is yours, Juho. Go ahead.
Yes. Yeah. Thanks. I have you guys on the other screen, so I can see the chat. Hopefully, it will scroll automatically. So I try to check that out as well. But hi, my name is Juho Salli. Some of you may know me already. I'm a senior lecturer at SAMK. I've been there for, I don't know, 8 years now or something like that. And prior to that, I was a researcher and a backend developer and database admin and front-end developer and software architect, and you name it, I've done it. And what I'm here to talk with you today is about how over the years I've managed to set up my environment or my desktop to be more productive for me. And Juhani, will you please put me in the spotlight thing, because I'm about to do a thing soon. Eetu, senior is the title. Opettaja is lehtori is senior lecturer in teaching world for some weird reason. But yeah, Aleksi gave me quite a lot of pressure from that great presentation and even more pressure from your questions. So I hope that I can live up to that previous show. Hopefully you can see my screen. If someone could like say that, okay, you are okay, then yeah. It's also amazing that you guys' text is so small that I can't read it. Cool beans. Not that old, Eetu. Yeah, so this is kind of a general thing, since I don't do a lot of development stuff anymore, but I do something, and Claude is also my new friend that Aleksi just talked about. But one thing that I've seen a lot of students and a lot of even senior, more mature developers do that. They don't customize their IDE, their editor, like in any way. Just the default theme looks hella ugly, has all those bunch of weird little things that you do not need, like for example the what's it called, the minimap of the file. Like whoever thought that one might need a small little map version of your code, there's no need for it. So this is a pretty simple example, but customize your theme, or like don't even customize, just take one from the internet and use it. But one thing that I think that I always I'm the only one that does it among our people here, is that I've changed the side of this file explorer here, because usually it's on the left side, but for me it's on the right side. And there's a reason for it, not just because it's cooler, but it's because that if I have code that I need to view in the left, that's left side, and I toggle the Explorer, the code is jumping around. So that's one simple thing that you can do. Just change it to some other place. And one thing also you see me do a lot today is not use my mouse, but to use the keyboard shortcuts for basically everything. But we'll get to that. So one simple thing is to customize your editor, whatever it might be. I know for a lot of you it's Visual Studio Code in the beginning, and hopefully it will be something else in the future when you gather more knowledge and know more editors and stuff like that. But for me, actually, there's quite a lot of things going on at the moment. I used to have the VS Code window even more minimal, like the bottom thing wasn't even here because I don't need it. There's absolutely no need to have this here and take all the space. But what I've noticed is that when I give lectures, especially to first year students, and they see my editor and it looks nothing like theirs, they get a bit scared about it. So that's why I've added that back there. But this is the first thing that you could do, and start from there. Make it your own. And this is something that you look at daily and like many hours a day. Even though you're vibe coding away, you're still looking at your VS Code or what's the thing that Aleksi just showed us, cursor. You're still looking at it. Make it so that it's nice for you to look at, and so that you could work on it. But I know this might come as a surprise for some of you, but VS Code is not the only editor around. Like, it's not even the best, like by any stretch of means. What I use actually as my daily driver is something called NeoVim. That's a terminal application. So you need to open up the scary black screen and use it that way. This is my daily driver that I use, and I don't need to use mouse. I can do whatever I want. It's amazingly fast, but it's hella scary when you first open it. There's the meme that I don't know how to exit Vim, so I just turn off my machine, but it's it's quite simple. You just go to command mode and give it kaksois.q, whatever the kaksoispiste is in English. It's not that hard. So you could start trying out different editors and see what works for you, like all the projects that you are doing. VS Code is fine for basic stuff if you're doing the .NETs and what have you on the programming basics, and if you're doing just HTML and JavaScript and stuff like that. But when you're reaching out to new languages, Rust, Java, what have you, you should try an IDE that's tailored for that specific language or framework. And I can see this chat scrolling along, kaksoispiste is colon, thank you. So there's NeoVim, which is a fork of Vim, but you could always check out, well, you know, Cursor, but that's a fork of VS Code. There's Helix is one, and there's plenty of others. And JetBrains, the company, does a lot of these IDEs that you have, actually some of you might have seen in Mikko's lecture for some of those. But don't just accept the default values. Like if I as a teacher say that, okay, you should use VS Code in programming basics, don't accept that as the whole truth, that like that's the only one that's there. See what other people are using and find out what works for you. Every app or software has their pros and cons, every app. So you need to figure out what are the like the meaningful things for you and what works for you. Yeah, this is actually fun. I haven't opened up VS Code in like a month, so I don't know how to use it anymore. But one thing that you might have seen are these things on top of my head here. This Keycaster app is showing the buttons that I'm using, and because I like NeoVim so much, and I don't use mouse here, there's no need for you to use mouse here. I've actually installed a Vim motions extension to my VS Code as well, so that I can use this app without using the mouse. Mostly, of course, I need to use the mouse. It's a graphical application, so you need to do some things with the cursor as well. But I can move around just by hitting keys on my keyboard. With G, I can go to the top of the line. With capital G, I can go to the bottom and do stuff like that. It's like a Vim, but in VS Code, or the motions are there. And if this looks something that you would like to do because it looks cool and hackery and stuff like that, you can totally try using just installing Vim motions extension in VS Code, because this works just like the normal way, but you can also use Vim motions in here as well. So this is pretty amazing. This is not about Vim or Vim motion, so I'm not gonna show anything more here. And one thing that actually people ask me about is the line numbering. You can see that, okay, now it says that, okay, line number 1 and then 1 and then 2, and now there's 4 and 1 on top and 1 down the line. I have relative line numbers on. This makes it really, really easy to jump 10 lines down or 13 lines up. I have no need to know what the actual line number is. I just need to know the relative line number from the position that I'm in right now. So that's the one thing that I always change in whatever editor I'm using, relative line numbering. And this is actually a normal feature in VS Code, so you can do that as well. But I've actually taken this a bit further, since I really, really like my Vim motions. I've installed a plugin to all of my browsers as well, a plugin called Vimium. I'll give you the links to these places after the presentation, so you can look at it as well. But this is really, really amazing plugin. I can don't have to use my mouse to browse the web. I can just use V motions to go around. This is my running YouTube channel. I haven't used mouse at all. Can close the browser or the tab. I want to go to my GitHub page. Just go here. I can use visual mode and then go somewhere around here and then select this text and then yank it. Yank means copy. I haven't used my mouse at all while browsing the web. It's pretty amazing. So that's one thing to keep in mind as well. Like if you want to do something and you put the effort to learn it, this is really hard to learn the motions, like what button does what. So it's better than learn it once and use it everywhere. But that's just my preference. And if there's any Emacs users out there, you might have a different opinion than me about Vim, but let's not go there today. What else? Oh, Raycast. Okay. Some things that I'm about to show you are Mac only for now, but Raycast is it's my most used app, I'd say. Yeah, this might be a bit small for you, but it's just but a app launcher and command launcher and automator and my AI companion and translator and do whatever I want aider in my computer. Like in Windows, you have you press the Windows button and then you get the fine pop-up with ads and stuff, and then you type what app you want to open. This is basically the same. And Mac users, you have Spotlight by default, so you could search for VS Code and open it. But I use this to open apps as well, so I can use it that open apps just using my keyboard. No need to touch mouse anywhere. But I also can use this to translate text for me. It's pretty bad at it, but word at a time. Actually, this is a new word that I learned. I don't know how to say mullein, and I don't know what's ukkotulikärki, but it's a plant in a game. So I can quickly check up words, but I don't know what this is actually. But there's a lot of things that I've automated with this. And one thing that I've done is I've created this script called create video project folder structure because I'm bad at naming. But basically what this does is that I run this, give it some argument, and it makes me a folder structure for my YouTube videos or the project so that I can do whatever I want with it. I used to do it by hand, like 2 times a week, create new folder, then create 3 folders under it and do things and do that. Then I realized that, oh, I know how to program. I know how to do folders programmatically. Maybe I should automate that. So I did that. What else do I have here? I had something in mind, something cool. Oh yeah. For example, in VS Code that I have active on the background, you can see it's active because there's the white border around it. That's one thing that I've added. I know what's an active window, and if I want to split this view here, I want to add a new split down to write some notes or whatever. I know that VS Code has a feature for that, but I don't know if there's any key binding for it. I don't want to go search for the key binding. I don't want to go search for in the toolbar, find if it's in there in some menu, under some menu after 7 clicks. What I can do is use this Raycast plugin or extension to search for menu items in the active window. This is really cool. You can just say, oh, that's a wrong search menu items, enter, and now it knows what are basically all the menu items that I have here up on the screen. And then I can just find, okay, split down, and it does the thing. Okay, to be honest, I've never used this in a VS Code because I don't use VS Code, but it's a thing that's possible. Just you don't have to know where the things are, you just find them. And there's also a Raycast beta version for Windows as well, and I highly recommend that you try this. You can do automations and everything with this. It is like one of the greatest apps ever built, and even with the free version you can go miles with it. Okay, there's lots of things going on just in the chat. Yeah, I use the mouse. Yeah, sorry about it. I feel a bit shamed right now. Sorry. But yeah, I do lots of different things with Raycast. There are alternatives for this as well. There's Alfred, which is only Mac, and in Windows there, I think PowerToys has some feature like this as well, but not as mature and not as capable. Like I've created automations to open up a Teams meeting in a specific channel and at the same time put up do not disturb on my machine and open up the lecture notes so that I don't have to like use the minute to do that by myself. I use 10 minutes to write the script, or it might have been ChatGPT that did that for me. But anyways, automation. If you find yourself doing something plenty of times manually, if you know how to write a hello world, you can automate your thing with some caveats. But basically, that's what you can do. Yeah, Raycast, amazing. Not a sponsored segment. I pay for it. Just lovely app. One thing that I do is I use a tiling window manager. You've actually seen me use it already. I have lots of different windows or apps open in this one specific virtual desktop. I use lots of different desktops to organize my work. So browser is in one, Discord is in some other place, and email and calendar are in their own workspace. Makes it really easy to organize your workflow. Then I just know that, okay, go to workspace 1 to check email and stuff like that. The app that I'm using is called Aerospace. This is Mac only. And Mikko, you can confirm, was it Komorebi for Windows, the one that I used? It was kind of buggy. I didn't get it to work the way I wanted to, but this is also possible to do on Windows as well. And what tiling window manager does is that it tiles, well, as the name implies, tiles things for you automatically. At the moment, I have this screen or workspace set up to be just in full screen mode, but I can just as easily split it 3 ways because I have 3 apps open. I can view them side by side. Usually 3 works quite bad, so I most of the time have only 2 windows, so it's better than to have code in one window and browser in the other window to read documentation. And reading documentation is something that most of you will never do because you have all the cool LLMs. But I have no need to use mouse to control my windows. And actually, I'm gonna touch my mouse again, sorry about this. If I drag this window and let go of the button, it will not stay there. I have no way to actually move the window in a specific place with my mouse. There are ways to do that, but I'm not gonna show you how to do it. So this is the way I manage my windows. I can move windows around different workspaces and different screens and stuff like that. This is thing that makes me super fast. no need to Alt tab or Command tab anymore. Yeah, you should check out tiling window managers and window managers as a whole. I have no idea what time was when I started. Yeah, I still have some time. Yeah, good. I've also created some shortcuts so that, you know, I can do things even faster, even more faster, you could say. I have one Alt or Option G that opens my Gemini window. Basically, this is just a Google Chrome window with everything stripped out and open up only this URL. It's really good to have and nice. And because I live in terminal, I also have Alt Enter to open a new what's this new terminal window. Highly awesome. Highly awesome is not a thing that you can actually say, but I just did. It doesn't mean anything. So these are just, I have few of these keyboard shortcut sets, not that many, because I don't want to learn all that much or have to remember. But these are just some that I use. And if you find yourself opening up some app multiple times a day or spawning a new window for an app, you should totally look at how you can streamline the process so you don't have to open up like some app launcher and then type something and then click somewhere and whatever. Just add a keyboard shortcut to it, because you can do it. There's app for that as well. And actually, one thing that I use quite a lot, since it's in my favorites here, is this create new Google Chrome window. I use this quite a lot, but not so much that I've dedicated a shortcut for it, but quite a lot as well. Highly awesome t-shirts. Yeah. Actually, side note, we should totally print out some DevCafe t-shirts, and I know a guy that we could ask money for to do that. Make a note for it. Okay. I think the last thing that I'm going to show before I'm going to read the the chat, is so one app on the terminal that I use even more than I use actually NeoVim, and it's GitHub CLI or command line interface to interact with GitHub. I know a lot of you use GitHub, and you use it with a web browser, and I do that as well. It works fine, nothing wrong with it, but I use it so much that I wanted to learn a faster way to communicate with it so that I don't have to do a context switch. Like if I'm working in a terminal, I don't want to move to a browser and do things there if I can do it from the terminal and keep basically the context. Kind of the same thing that the AI does. And I think that I want to show this as with a demo to you. Here we have this directory that holds this markdown that we've been viewing here, this notes for my talk here. But I haven't actually set this up as a repo in GitHub as yet. I've made one commit to it, so I've ran git init and git add and then git commit, but that's all. Now what I want to do is create a repository in GitHub, sync it with this local repository here, and then push the commits into the GitHub repo without leaving this screen here, without leaving this terminal window. And there's a high chance of a demo effect happening, but we'll figure it out if it comes to that. So GH, shortened for GitHub, is the name of the app. I've installed it on my machine. And I can say gh repo create, and it asks what I want to do. And I want to push an existing local repo to GitHub because I already have this local repository. I want to push that into the US. Path to it, this directory that I'm in, .beans, like this place where I'm right now. Repository name, talks, I'll change it later. It's the name of this folder. Okay, then it asks under who's going to be the owner. Well, you might only have one option here, but I have lots of different places where I can push this thing. So I'm going to select my own account, Juhosa. Description, we're going to leave it empty for now. I'll change it later. Visibility, I can do private repositories, but I want to put this public so you can see the things as well here. So public, it did the thing. It's a thing that's now online. We could go to this URL, but I don't want to go there. Add a remote, hit enter because Y is capitalized, so it's the default option. The remote should be named origin, yeah. Would you like to push? Yeah. And I think we are live. Let's check this out. If I can just find the link here. I did this repository under a minute. Or I don't know, it took like 3 minutes because I explained things. But if I would have not explained things, I would be able to do it in like 30 seconds flat. So currently it only holds the README file, but I want to push the actually this lecture notes there as well. So let's go back here. I have this alias GS for Git status because Git status is my friend. I run it after everything I do. Git status is like if Git status is only thing that you remember for your version control class, then you're good to go. That's like the main thing. Git status, it's your friend. Okay, so now I can say GA for git add, talks. Oh yeah, I need to add actually not just the directory, but the typoed file name as well. Environments. We'll change that later as well. Okay, GS again. We have a new file. Then GC for git commit. Add the message flag. Add the DevCafe talk slides MD file. Cool. Okay, GS again. Now I can do git push. Where is P there? Push origin main. And now it's there. So I know this might not look so fast, but keep in mind that I'm trying to explain this while I go. If I'm working on my own things and I don't have to talk to anyone, and especially in English, these things don't take time. I don't have to think about it. Things just work. Everything's just in my muscle memory. Lots of things are in my muscle memory. So now I can just YY to yank this URL, and I can paste it into the chat for all of you to, I don't know, look at it, do things, don't do things. You have no right to do things for it. Okay, so was there anything else in my notes? Basically, I think the finishing words before I'll see your questions is that defaults only get you so far, and they are good. defaults are defaults for a reason. They work for most people. But when you are using a tool for many hours a day, multiple years, you should see if you can make it better for you. Change the key bindings, or better yet, first learn the key bindings so you don't have to move your hand to the mouse and be a bit quicker in that sense. Then you might want to change the key bindings because the default ones aren't always the greatest. And because most of you are developers, you can write your own tools. Make the computer work for you, not the other way around. That's why we have programming basics, so we can make the computer work for us. Okay, all of these things that I just talked about, we could talk for hours about one specific thing, but I don't have that much time. We can talk about them later. And now I can pull up the chat and see what questions you have there. And I just use my mouse, but you didn't see that. Something was cool. Does it have the PHP Storm? Yeah. I used PHP Storm, PHP Storm for many years as professionally. I used it so much that I have actually created an extension for it in the DuckDuckGo search engine, and they sent me a T-shirt because I did the thing. Raycast seems useful. Oh yeah, Eetu mentioned that rectangular works great as well in macOS. Yeah, it does. I used that for many years. And Yabai is one. Also the T-shirt thing, that was something that happened. Oh, did you do a pull request to my repo? My dudes. Nah.
No, I didn't actually do it, sorry.
I totally would have merged it without any actual checking. No keyboard as rally. What? So hey, any questions, my people? Eye tracking, only coding speedrun. Actually, Aleksi, do you remember, or Mikko, if we have the one eye tracking thingamajig in the Robo AI lab, if we could actually use that to see if we can use it to code.
Do you mean the neuro, the thing that goes in the back of your head?
No, like on top of your monitor, and it tracks your eyeballs.
Oh, no idea. I just use the one that tracks your eye based on your EEG.
Oh yeah. But that's more
that's
evolved.
Different.
Yeah.
Yeah, works worse.
I think we're at the position where if you have questions for Juho, you can open your mic. Is it okay?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I actually have one question. I wrote it in chat, but let's say someone wants to learn to use Vim or Vim motions. Do you have any resources? Where would you start?
The internet. I know there are some sites, websites that are like gamified the learning of Vim motions. I don't know what they are. I haven't used them. I did it the hard way because I'm a bit dumb. But I know that there are that start from the basics, like your HJKL to move around, and then go from there. There are kind of like games for it, but I don't know the names of those.
And on NeoVim, there's like a guide or tutorial. I don't remember how you accessed it. It's like colon and then help or colon and tutor or something like that, and gives you like at what you do. and you learn that way, like press these buttons and then it goes 30 steps down, and then you says on that position what you do, and then it's kind of like the follow your own adventure type of book where you do things and it jumps around the text file. And that was very useful. I tried the Vim Adventures game on the net, and that was super annoying. So, well,
I think it's a tutor command, in Neo Vim.
Yeah, and I know that every Unix system that has Vim installed has the command vim tutor, so I can write it in chat.
Cool.
There's a typo in there, but the problem with that is that it's like reading. It's kind of boring to read through it. You can learn Vim by like checking Vim tutor and stuff like that. But someone mentioned, did you, Juhani, mention Vim Adventures?
Yeah.
Okay.
I tried that. I played until it wanted me to pay for something.
Nice.
The buy license, it's like 35 euros. That's way too much. Way too much for me to learn Vim. I'm gonna do it the hard way when I have time. It seems just my shoulders get so stiff, and if I play a game, and I play a lot of games because I do. You're too handsome. I keep watching myself. Now look at the camera. I play too much of games, so I've started to do this when I use my mouse. Of course, on the table, but not like that. That the shoulders are open, but keep them close because I write a lot and stretch my arm outside, and now this arm is very, very pain. Very pain. Yeah, that's also a T-shirt.
Very much pain.
That's also a T-shirt coming up in the February. So keep your orders up and go. Ordered. Yeah. Very pain T-shirt. Highly awesome.
Eetu mentioned that it seems a pretty daunting task, and it is. It takes years to learn these things, and it comes basically by accident. You don't even think that, okay, I've actually know this thing now. You just have to use it and have to keep the mouse away to learn the Vim motions. It takes, I think it took me like 3 tries. I remember that I tried Vim the first time, I don't know, 15 years ago or something like that, or maybe a bit longer.
3 tries.
And then I was like, not gonna do it. Slows me the heck down. Because I had to write like production code fast. We didn't have AI then. But then at some point I did the programming at work, like 50-60 split with, the usual things and then the more easier things with Vim motions and Vim, and then kind of gradually move towards it. But it takes a long time to learn.
Yeah, and you could do it gradually, like move from the HJKL and put it on the arrow buttons and use those for a while and get used to the other shortcuts. But I think the biggest hurdle to go over is the modal type of editing the texts.
Oh, yeah, that's a whole different beast that we didn't even touch, all the different modes that Vim has, but that's for future event or something.
Yeah, you go to edit mode and you edit the text, and then you go back to the main mode, or was it called to
insert
move
mode is the one that you write, and normal mode is the one where you move around, and then there's command mode and few different visual modes.
Yeah.
It's fine. You don't have to think about it when you get used to it.
I promise. When you get used to it, that removes so much from what goes between your brain and writing, because they're all there. It's designed that it's all really close with minimal effort, so you can focus on doing stuff instead of how you do stuff.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it takes time. It's like you have a good car and you've been driving that car, and then someone says, go take a bike, learn that. It's economic and good for
Yeah.
you. I want to keep driving the car.
Yeah, but hopefully the Vim part didn't scare or wasn't the only thing that you got away from this talk. Hopefully you got to some automation ideas or way to move away from the defaults, because a carpenter modifies their tools to make work for them because they have to use it million times. So why don't we as computer people do that as well?
Yeah, it's really easy to go into that mode where you do something and it feels stupid. Why am I doing this? Why does it have to be this way? And you keep doing that, like at least 1,000 times a year. And so why not take that time, that 1,000 times a year, doing that stupid thing someone else has thought was a good idea, and make it your own?
Yeah.
And
does Mikko have something to say?
One more hot question. What do you do when you change, like get a new computer? How long does it take to set it all up again? Or have you automated it?
There's a reason I don't change computers that often. Now I've actually built I've actually built scripts that I've never run to automate the setup. But I just today talked with Juhani about this, that I don't know anymore what are the defaults and what comes from the operating system and what are things that I've actually had to install and configure it myself, because I just know that there are these things and tools that I use, but I have no idea, without like actively thinking about them, about where are they coming from. Like I've had to install apps to make this all work. The tiling window manager, the border around my windows, the plugins to make things work, and the GitHub CLI. It's mind-boggling about like how much I don't remember where things are coming from. They just are there. And when I use someone else's computer, especially with students, it looks like that I don't know what the hell I'm talking about because it's not my computer.
Where is that? What? How does this work?
I can totally relate to that. For example, I have keyboard shortcuts. So basically, I have kind of like macros on my keyboard for using JetBrains IDEs. I don't remember those shortcuts. I just know where they are on my keyboard. If I would have to, and when I have to use JetBrains products, JetBrains IDEs on someone else's keyboard, I have no idea how it works. I just know that when I press my thumb down and then I press the key B, it like starts the debugger. But I don't know what the shortcut for real is.
Yeah, it's like a muscle memory. I had my bank account, the PIN code. I remember how to do it. Well, the fingers know how to do it, and then I had my hand very hurt, so I couldn't use this hand and had to do it on the other hand. I had to remember what the PIN code is, and I don't remember it. I just remember the motions I do with the other hand. So I was in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, I had the same with landline phone numbers, for those who remember what those are. Our number, our home number, I don't remember the number, but I remember the sequence. Start from here, then go like this. It's like up, left, down type of thing. And actually that reminds me that one thing that I didn't mention, I hope that Mikko might talk about that in February's event, is that I don't have, the Control, Command, Shift, Alt keys where you might have them. And I have plenty of shortcuts that use those keys, but I don't know what the buttons are. I just know what fingers do I need to press to make things happen. Home robots is amazing.
Yeah.
But hey,
some people are already leaving. So before you go, next event is on the 23rd of February. I think it was the same time at 6. Not sure. And join us on Discord. Go check out the devcafe.fi webpage where the events are posted, and also on the Discord. We are not really sure if we're gonna post these mass emails about these events anymore. So word of mouth and Discord and the DevCafe will be probably the main places to get info on the upcoming events and so on. And I lost my train of thought.
I can pick up from here.
Yeah, pick up.
Yeah, one final thing before we go. Thanks for everyone being here. This is a thing that I've been wanting to do for many years now, but I haven't got the time and or the resources to do it. But now Juhani jumped along, and we managed to pull this on really, really short time. So thanks Juhani, and thanks everyone for being here. And let's not make this anything bureaucratic and clunky and old people thing. Let's just have fun and spread the information. And if you have anything that you want to talk about, some cool app or technology or library or, I don't know, pencils or what have you, we can totally arrange a spot for you. We are going to host these once a month at least for the spring. So there's always a time for you to give a talk as well.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Juho. Thank you, Aleksi, for having presentations for us. And if you join us on Discord, you can, of course, put cool links there about cool tech stuff. And if it keeps overflowing with links, then we're going to do another channel for those links as well. So keep everything neat and tidy if needed. It's a very chill place. Not a lot of chatting at the moment, but yeah, I think it'll pick up pretty soon. And you can also there say that I would like to hear about this, and we'll smash our heads together and see if we can come up a person who could come and talk about that if there's interest about some tech related thing. And thank you from on my behalf, thank you everyone for joining, and thanks Juho, and thanks Aleksi, and thanks everyone in the chat for the questions and comments and keeping this light and nice. And
This was so much fun.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Love this.
Yeah. Hey, let's stop this and bye everyone.
Yes. Goodbye everyone. See you in the Discord and see you in the next event. Thank you for coming.